Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's Cathedra webinar. We are coming to you live on August 19th, 2025. If anybody is an NLC webinar first timer in the room, know that our Cathedra webinars get their name from the Creek word for learning. And today you're going to be learning Unlocking Opportunity with a demo of the Tribal Funding Registry. My name is Brooke Warrington. I'm the Training and Development Specialist here at the Native Learning Center. We're so thrilled you could tune in for today's webinar. If you could follow along while I read the disclaimer aloud. This webinar provides a summary of fundamental concepts, requirements, and/or procedures within the allotted 90 minutes. The material discussed does not illustrate all possible scenarios that could be applicable. We also have our copyright infringement law printed here. This is just a friendly reminder that the webinar materials are protected by copyright, trademark, trade secret, and other intellectual property laws. Moving forward, now that you're on the learning platform, if you ever want to check out the recording of this in the future or share it with a friend, or you want to check out any of our other amazing webinars that we've hosted, you can find all of that in the courses section. And then if you tune in for a webinar in the future, you would just log in like you did today and then click on that green banner up at the top of your screen. We do ask that you join with listen-only capabilities. It just helps to cut down on any audio feedback for our instructors. And then if you find that my voice is coming out of a different device than you'd like to be using, maybe you're trying to use some Bluetooth headphones, maybe you have an extra speaker, you could come down to the telephone icon at the bottom of your screen. This will bring up a list of your mic and your speaker devices, and you can select the proper audio output. We do have several ways to interact during today's webinar. We'll primarily rely on the public chat. If you don't yet have that expanded, you can come over to the messages panel and click on public chat. And then we, of course, want to hear your questions, want to hear your comments. If you have any tech support issues that I can help you navigate through, you can submit that here. You'll just click on the box that says send message to public chat, and then you'll click enter, or you can hit the cute little paper airplane button, and that'll submit it where everyone can see it. I did already include a link to today's presentation slides in the chat, but there are other important links in the shared notes section. You can find the link to today's webinar feedback survey, the link to our YouTube archive, all kinds of good stuff. And then if you did join and maybe you're unmuted, no worries, you can always just come down here to the mic icon and you can mute yourself that way. And if you think somewhere along the way maybe we missed a question, you can go to the far right bottom of your screen, and then there's a little hand raise feature that you can click on. We do love to know who's present during our webinars. If you wouldn't mind taking a moment to introduce yourselves in the chat, you could let us know your name, where you're tuning in from, your work or your role in Indian country that probably led you to today's webinar, and your tribal affiliation. If you have one, you might be just a tribal employee, and that is okay too. But while you guys are introducing yourselves in the public chat, I just have a quick final note. Try to avoid clicking on the little red menu panel. It's all the way to the left-hand side of your screen. Yours might be just a list of the icons. But if you click on that, know that it's going to pull you out of the webinar immediately. You will be able to rejoin by just clicking on the green banner, but I just want to give you a heads up because there's not like a warning screen, are you sure you want to leave or anything like that. It'll just take you to whatever you selected on the menu. So just want to give you guys a heads up. And while you are introducing yourselves in the chat, it is with great pleasure that I introduce your webinar instructor for today, Anawa Haynes. And Anawa, I'm going to make you presenter now.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. I'm really excited to share this space with you today and share a little bit more about the Tribal Funding Registry, something that we have developed to help our communities identify grant opportunities that are relevant to our communities and the work that we do to serve Indigenous communities across the U.S. A little bit about myself. My name is Anawa Haynes. I am Diné and Mescalero Apache. I'm originally from a small community called Comarco, New Mexico, which is sits right in between the border of the Navajo Nation, Dinétah, my homelands, and a small town of Gallup, New Mexico, right off of Route 66, if you are familiar with the area. I am an attorney turned grant writer. I attended the University of New Mexico, where I got my bachelor's degrees in Native American Studies and English pre-law. Went on to get my Juris Doctorate from the University of New Mexico School of Law, specializing in federal Indian law, and I'm currently working towards my MBA in American Indian Entrepreneurship at Gonzaga University. As I said, I'm an attorney turned grant writer. I had a past life as a public defender working in my home community there in McKinley County, New Mexico, the 11th Judicial District, and really realized that grant writing was the way that I could support our communities to find and access critical funding to solve some of the issues that we see recurring across many of our communities. In 2022, I founded my private for-profit grant writing firm called Hojonago Consulting, and had the opportunity in 2023 to work in partnership with a major philanthropic organization to bring to you the Tribal Funding Registry, which we're going to be talking about today. The core team members, including myself, are our community liaison, Lorena Coya, who's from the Pueblo of San Felipe, but currently lives and works in Reno, Nevada, and our build director, Susan Liao, who is the founder of Leaders Like Us, is currently based out of Portland, Oregon. A little bit about the Hojonago Institute. So I'm the president and founder of the Hojonago Institute, which is our nonprofit arm. And the Hojonago Institute is a Native-led nonprofit that was founded in November of 2022 with a mission to create an equitable future where Native Americans have equal access to opportunities that lead to the eradication of the racial wealth gap. Our flagship program is the Tribal Funding Registry, and the mission and vision of the TFR is to streamline access to funding opportunities for tribal nations and Native organizations and Indigenous communities across the United States. And we want to empower tribal communities by creating a centralized, user-friendly registry that enhances self-determination and economic resilience. So what is the Tribal Funding Registry? I'll be running us through a live demo so we can take a look at the Tribal Funding Registry together. We can run a keyword search, and I'll show you all of the features and talk about the different types of support that we offer. But just a quick bulleted list. The Tribal Funding Registry is a free, curated online database of funding opportunities that are applicable to tribes, Native-led nonprofits, and Indigenous communities across the United States. We're not region-specific. We aren't just in one state or for one tribe. We serve Indigenous communities all across the U.S. It is accessible via web browser, so there are no apps to install. There's no additional software required. There is never any sort of cost associated with using the Tribal Funding Registry ever. We intend to keep it that way. We're powered by philanthropy, and as a group of grant writers, we intend to continue to have this funded by philanthropy. In the TFR, you're always going to find up-to-date opportunities with the latest information. You might find grant opportunities in there that are forecasted. That means that we know that they're issued on a certain cadence, maybe annual and on an annual basis. So we mark them as forecasted so that you know that you can start working on your application for next year's open period. However, beyond that, there are not opportunities that are closed where you've missed the boat and you're not able to apply for those opportunities again. We marry the power of technology with culturally competent grant writers to make sure that our list is up to date, that it's curated and applicable to the communities that we serve. You can bookmark opportunities that are most relevant to you, and we also have an Ask a Grant Expert feature, which is also open office hours that I'll share more about in a little bit. So just to talk briefly about who the TFR is for. So we, again, serve Indigenous communities across the U.S. We're built specifically for tribes. That's federally recognized, state recognized, and all tribal entities, including for-profit entities such as economic development corporations and such. Alaska Native serving organizations, including Alaska Native corporations, Native-led and serving nonprofits, Native Hawaiian serving organizations, and we've begun to start including grant information for small businesses and individuals. So we know that our small businesses are a key component to our economies. And we also want to make sure that we're including opportunities for individuals, such as research opportunities, fellowships, any of those types of things. So you'll start seeing those opportunities a bit more as we continue our work and to build out those features. All right, so let's walk through how to sign up for the TFR. You can either use the QR code, or I'm going to drop in the chat the sign up link. When you click on that link or you utilize the QR code, I will say the TFR is accessible via web browser, so you can access it on your mobile device, your iPad, your laptop, or a desktop computer. Again, you don't need to download an app or anything like that. So when you're creating your account, right now you'll see this little sign up bar that asks you to input your email address. When you click sign up, what will happen is you will get a personalized email invitation from our community liaison, Laureen. You might want to check your spam inboxes because sometimes our emails find their way to spam mail. So if you don't see it in your main inbox at the email address that you indicated, please take a look at your junk or spam folder. You might be able to find it there. If you run a search within your email, you can type in Laureen Okoya and it should pop up from there. The last step is within that email, you just click on the orange button to sign up using your email, or you can click on the Google symbol and that can sign you up using a Gmail account, which is the way that I access it. You will be given the option to complete your profile, and I'll go through this a bit more and some tips and tricks for setting up your profile, who has access to this information, all of that kind of stuff. And spoiler alert, it's just for our internal team to see as well as you. So nobody has access to your information, your email, or anything like that. That's all just making sure that you have your account specified for yourself. All right, so I'm going to go into the live demo now. There's going to be room for and time for questions and answers. So feel free, as questions come up, go ahead and put them in the chat. And Brooke is going to be walking us through those questions once we get to the Q&A. And when we also get to that place, if you do have a question, please feel free to, I think, use the raise hand function down in your lower right-hand corner, and then we can gather your questions that way as well. Okay. Okay, so once you've signed into the TFR, and I just want to ask, Brooke, are you able to see my screen just to make sure everybody can see what I'm sharing?
Yep, we can see it. We're looking at the welcome page.
Beautiful. All right, so I will say that the Tribal Funding Registry actually offers three main types of support. We offer the Tribal Funding Registry Grants Database, which is what you're looking at now. The second type of support is we offer a resources tab, and I'll walk you through that momentarily. And the third type of support is we offer live technical assistance. We know that there are a lot of questions that pop up. Even if you're a grant writer, you're a grant expert yourself, sometimes it's really great, or if this is your first time writing grants or you're anywhere in between that spectrum, it's really great to just have someone to bounce questions off of, have a thought partner or work with somebody who is very familiar with the types of grants that you're working on. The way that we do that is two different ways. You'll see here on the welcome screen that we offer live office hours 5 times every single week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. On Mondays, we offer 2 sessions at 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. Pacific time, Wednesdays at 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. Pacific time, and Fridays at 8 a.m. And what our office hours are is a 1-hour time slot for you to come bring any questions you have. Maybe you just kind of want to sit and observe. Maybe you need another demo of the TFR. Maybe you want help running a keyword search. Whatever it is, this is a space to really collaborate and be in community with us as the TFR staff, and also other grant seekers or folks who are working on grant applications. You can sign up here where it says click here to sign up. And you can also email us at community@tribalfunding.org if you have questions. And also I'd encourage you to sign up for our newsletter here. And we deliver straight to your mailbox every single week, 5 grant spotlights. And we're starting to do funder spotlights as well. But you'll get information just straight from the TFR team about what we're working on, some behind the scenes conferences that we have upcoming, or just a lot of information about the TFR community. So when you're in the TFR, you'll see these different banners here, and we call these trackers. These trackers have different purposes that I'll walk you through. And I'll start here with the bookmarks tab. So as I go through the live demo, you can actually move the bookmarks tab in whatever order you'd like. So, using the pinned feature, or you can honestly, if you just see the little cross arrows, you can just drag it to whatever position you'd like on your page. The bookmark tracker, as I'll show you in a bit, is when you bookmark an opportunity, this is where it goes so that you can narrow your search. Maybe there's grants you want to come back to. You'll find those in your bookmarks tracker after you've bookmarked them in the opportunity. Where we're going to spend the bulk of our time today is in these 3 different trackers here. The first is all opportunities, and I promise I'll go through these a little more in depth so that you can see the different features in them. But the all opportunities tracker contains every single opportunity that is in the TFR. Right now we have 1,447 grants, and that's totaling roughly around $22 billion in opportunities that are in the TFR today. So this number fluctuates based off of federal funding cycles or different foundation cycles, corporate grants and such. But what you're finding in here are grant opportunities across federal, state, foundation, and corporate grants. And you'll see when I'm in here that things are color-coded. This will help you your eyes just quickly differentiate between what you're looking at. And there's a filter feature that helps with that too. So I'll go through this a little more in depth. The next is the new opportunities added in the last 30 days. What we've heard from our users in our most recent survey and focus groups, and I would encourage you as a user to take our next survey that's going to be coming up in September. Please take that survey. It helps us to gather more data on how we can be more helpful to you all. We also take live feedback or email feedback on things that are working, what you'd like to see. Always just feel free to email us at community@tribalfunding.org. But what we have heard from our users in our most recent survey and feedback focus group is that the new opportunities added in the last 30 days tracker has been extremely helpful for your ongoing grant research process. Folks are doing their initial grant research and then kind of coming back to the new opportunities tracker to see what else is there, what has been added within the last 30 days to keep your grant prospect research fresh. And the next is closing soon. So these are opportunities that are closing within the next 30 days. The way that I would use this is if I'm beginning my grant research journey, I would start here because I'd want to see what opportunities are available, but that I'm going to have to work quickly and get those up, prioritize and get those opportunities, those grant applications in first. So number of filters, I'll walk through those a little more in depth. Funders, these 2 tabs I'll walk through in a little more in depth, but what we've done is we source all of our data from publicly available websites. So grants.gov, one of the unique things that we've done is we have tapped into Candid. So if you're familiar with Candid, they're kind of what do you call it, like a warehouse of all of the opportunity or all of the information that's regarding foundations or 501c3s. They kind of create this large database of all of that information. So we've tapped into their API. API is basically just a kind of liaison to help different software talk to each other and exchange data. We've tapped into Candid's API in order to get a list of funders who are like grant makers. They actually had partnered in the past with Native Americans in philanthropy and were able to identify funders who were known to have given to Alaska Native, American Indian, and Native Hawaiian communities in the past. So we've been able to pull this list together, and I'll talk about this a little bit more. So this does not include federal agencies. So if you're just interested in looking at foundation and corporations, that's where you would go. The next tab is for all funders. So that includes federal agencies, foundation, and corporate donors. This is our resources tracker. And finally, the TFR profile. So when you're setting up your account, and you can go back to this at any time, again, this information is internal to our team as well as just private to you. Nobody has access to this information. What I would encourage you all to do is that when you fill out your profile, in addition to just including your name, this is our demo account, so it's called TFR Demo. If you wouldn't mind including your tribe or organization that you are using the TFR on behalf of. So for me, I would put Hojonago Institute. And I also would love it if folks could include in the More About Me section information on what types of grants you are interested in. So just a list: housing, veterans, domestic violence, victim services, transportation, just a rolling list, because how this will help our team is in future, on our roadmap, we want to be able to start delivering grants as they arrive in the system to folks to get alerts, email alerts for, if you have your tribe or your organization there, it helps us understand maybe what region you're working in. So if a region-specific grant comes up, we'll know that this grant might be appropriate for you. So if you can help us out and further development by at least completing your tribe or organization and including some grants that you're interested in More About Me, that way we can start to continue to personalize the TFR experience for you all. And again, this information is private to you and our team, and we never sell your data. We don't provide your data to third parties in any sort of way. All right, thank you for walking through all of the different trackers with me. So what we're going to do now is go to the All Opportunities tracker. And in here, I'm going to run a live search and kind of show you what's in the TFR, how things work, what you're looking at when you're engaging with the TFR. So over here on the left, you can run a keyword search, and we're continuing to refine this process, the keyword search function, so it's only going to get better and better over time. And there's also a number of different filters here. So I'm going to run a keyword search for housing. And using that keyword search, it rendered 88 grants that are relevant to my keyword. And so you can see that there are grants in here that are not just federal, but there are also corporate and foundation grants. In order to see the rest of your results, you just click on this green bar, dark green bar on the bottom, and it will expand your list. Now let's say that I don't want to see any federal opportunities. What I'm going to do is start utilizing my filters. So you can filter by application window status. So a lot of folks right now are saying, I just want to see open grants. I don't want to see anything that is forecasted. So you can feel free to utilize the application window status filter how you'd like. Application window frequency, we see less use out of this. This comes into play more so with foundation and corporate opportunities. But maybe I want to see grants that are offered often. So grants that are offered monthly or quarterly. So that means as I'm building out my research, I know that, hey, this deadline is really close. My team needs a little bit more time, but it's offered quarterly. So I know that there's another deadline offered, and so I can prioritize it for the next deadline. That's what you'd use that for. Deadline timing, in addition to the opportunities that are closing in the next 30 days, maybe you just want to see grants that are due, in September of 2025. You can click on that feature and it will populate only the grants that have an indicated deadline in September of 2025. Funding instrument, if you're just looking for grants, and you don't want to see anything like cooperative agreements, you just, really want to take out all of that noise, you can use that there. Grant type, this is where I would say, I just want to see all of the corporate giving and foundation opportunities. And I will say tribal giving programs, these are for tribes that have foundation or community giving programs. We've heard from folks from some of those entities at the different conferences we've attended, and they've asked that there be a specific call out for their grant opportunities. So that's in there as well. And again, we're continuing to work on the TFR, putting all of the feedback that we get from you all and our users into action and on our roadmap. So if there's something that isn't there yet, trust that it'll be there in the future. So this is where I would select foundation and corporate giving. You can also filter by what type of entity you are. So if you're a tribal government or you're a nonprofit, you can search just by your entity. Location focus. If you want to see grants that are not region specific and you want to see ones that are across the United States, you would click on all and any US and US territories in order to populate those results. Otherwise, if you're looking at, say, I live in Arizona and I only want to see Arizona grants, you would click on Arizona and that will help to refine your search further. Categories and industries, different types of, and again, this list here, we're continuing to refine this list to make sure that it's as accurate and helpful as possible. So if you want to see grants about certain categories and industries, you can use that. One important one is there a cost match? We know that cost match can be a barrier to grant applications, and so we wanted to make this as simple as possible to weed out those that had a cost match. You're not really going to see this a whole lot with foundation and corporate opportunities. Not to say that it doesn't exist, because there are some that do require a cost match, but you're going to see this more so on the state and federal level. But you can indicate here, we just don't have the capacity to provide a match right now. You can click 0%, you can click none, just whatever fits your scenario. This one is a little less relevant, the grants.gov agency code. We're continuing to refine that one just based off of what appears in grants.gov, because grants.gov is one of the public sources of information that we utilize for the TFR. So you can just click on, Department of Labor or Department of Interior, Bureau of Land Management. So if you are very familiar with grants.gov, that's what these different agency codes would be. All right, so you've got your filters there. You don't have to complete every single one of the filters. You can use them as many or as little as you like in order to refine the results that you see in the TFR. So once you've got, so for me, I only want to see foundation and corporate grants. I'm going to click update. It's going to further refine my grant search from 88 to 71. So now I know that what I'm looking at here, I'm not going to see any dark green opportunities. And again, if you want to expand your list, you just click the green banner here. I'm not going to see any dark green banners for federal grants because I've I have filtered those out. So I'm going to look at a couple of grant opportunities here to show you what it looks like when you're in the TFR. So the first one, I'm going to show you how to use the bookmarking function. So this grant opportunity is a foundation grant. It is forecasted for January of 2026. So that means that you can put it on your grant calendar for January 2026, and maybe you want to start working on your grant application now. You can click on the opportunity link that will take you to more information about this grant and where to apply. But what we've tried to do in the TFR is provide the most pertinent information so that you're not having to chase down information across multiple sites, and we've tried to put it all in one place. So there's information here about a little bit more about the deadline, what they fund. Down here, you'll see that the location focus it's actually open to nonprofits with 501c3. Location focus is all in any U.S. and U.S. territories, so there's no geographic limitations. What they support core programs, planning, new programs, or program expansion. That means that this foundation will take a new idea and help you, if you're aligned with their priorities and you make it successfully through their grant making process, if you have a new program idea, that they'll help fund the startup of that program. Or if you need to plan, do a 5-year plan, you want to grow your program, or you just need some programmatic like operating dollars, this is a great grant opportunity for you to pursue. Here in funding priorities, you can take a look at what they fund, what's important to this foundation. So here you'll see that housing and homelessness is one of their priorities, and that was our keyword search. But they do also fund a number of different areas, including children and youth services, healthcare, human trafficking, immigration, racial justice, literacy, women's issues, so on and so forth. So when you're looking at a foundation, that's the information that you're going to see. Sometimes if the information is available, and we're going to continue to build this out as part of our roadmap, but if there is an indication of how much, what's the biggest grant that they give out and what's the minimum grant, we'll put that information in here if it's available. So next, let's say this is a great opportunity. Sorry, I kind of jumped ahead here. This is a great opportunity, and I do want to apply for this. I'm going to come back and look at it later, though. What you're going to do is bookmark this. You can hit the little bookmark icon here. It's green. You'll know it's bookmarked if it turns to orange, and it also will have a little shaded circle around it. So where that will take you is, you'll know now that when you go to your bookmark tracker, that grant's sitting there waiting for you to come back and take a look. Now, what I will say for the bookmark tab is that if you do bookmark something, and I've seen this in the past, or if you bookmark something and it expires, it will continue to sit in your bookmarks tab. So just be proactive and make sure that you're unbookmarking those once you've taken a look at them, because sometimes if they do expire, they will still sit in your bookmarks tab, because the system wants to make sure that you've said that this is priority information, and so we don't want to just make it disappear from you. All right, so the next one we will look at is Bob Woodruff, the Bob Woodruff Foundation grant.
We do have a question from the chat. Jesse is asking, are they filtered by region and state? And does this allow for more than one choice at a time? And does it eliminate grants that are for a different region or non-region specific? Or does it just ensure you're also seeing opportunities specific to that region alongside more general opportunities in the results?
So what it will do, thank you for that question. The location focus is actually, if I'm from the state of Arizona, I'll click Arizona, or say my organization serves, or like I'm from the Navajo Nation and we're in 3 different states. I could choose each of those states and see results not alongside others. It'll eliminate all of the ones, and it will actually also eliminate the ones that are open for all U.S. territories, and it'll just focus specifically on grants that are for those states or those regions. And you can choose multiple at one time. All right, great question. Okay, so we are in the Bob Woodruff Foundation grant. So in this grant, you can see there's more information here. You click on the opportunity link, it'll take you to their website for a bit more information if you want to dig a little deeper. If there's a separate announcement link specifically for this grant, because sometimes foundations have multiple grants and there will be a different web page for each of those different grants, we'll make sure to put that in the announcement link. And also if there is if there's a portal or a place that you need to go to actually apply for this grant, we'll put that link in here too. So this grant is, and I'll have you notice that this is a linked funder. So Bob Woodruff Family Foundation, we'll make sure to look at that in the funders tab tracker and see how those kind of systems talk to each other. So here, it's an open grant. It's on a rolling deadline. When you see this, it means they accept applications throughout the year, and there's no set deadline. But what I will say, best practice, is to make sure that you're getting your grant applications in the first half of the year, and then between the end of summer break and the beginning of the holidays. The reason for that is a lot of these grant applications go in front of their board of directors, board of trustees, and folks tend to take time off during the summer. Folks are typically taking time off to be with their families during the holidays, and so you want to make sure, or also towards the end of the year, the funding that's been allocated starts to run out, and so you want to make sure that you're getting those grant applications in, even if they're rolling deadlines, the first half of the year, and then that kind of sweet spot between August and maybe the beginning of November. So down here's information again about this opportunity. This one is specific to veterans, so it's open to all U.S. territories. This one's specific to veterans and service members, and want to make sure that they are addressing issues with veterans and service members such as housing, food, employment, healthcare. I know that a lot of our communities and nonprofits work with veterans, so if this is, again, an opportunity that looks good to you, click the bookmark tab and you'll be able to find it in your bookmark tab later. The last thing I want to take a look at is federal opportunities. So I'm just going to go back to my filters, unclick Foundation and Corporate Giving, and update my search. All right, so now you'll see the federal opportunities are back, and I'm going to scroll down to...
We have another question from the chat. Roger's asking, do these operate on a calendar year, the federal government's fiscal year, or state fiscal years? First half of the year, January through June?
Good question. So to, I guess, further clarify my timelines, so everybody is different. So that's one piece of kind of the puzzle that we're continuing to try to help people to get access to that information. So it's going to all be different. You can expect that federal government will be on their federal fiscal year. But for foundation and corporate opportunities, I would say typically they're on a calendar year as their fiscal year, but some education organizations might be on the school year, fiscal year. So begins in July, ends in June. So it's kind of different across different entities, and sometimes might be just based on that particular foundation. And I'll show you where you might be able to find that information down in our when we take a look at a 990 really quickly. But thank you for that question. So the federal opportunity we want to take a look at is the Indian Community Development Block Grant, ICDBG, Imminent Threat Program. So this is what a federal opportunity is going to look like in the TFR. You're going to see that same information as far as if, the open status or the application window status, deadline, more information about the deadline notes here. And one thing that you'll see that we didn't see in the last couple of foundation opportunities is the information here is filled out because it is available. So the award ceiling, any one request cannot exceed $1.5 million. There is not a minimum ask, but there's a total of $5 million available. They anticipate that they're going to give out 6 awards. Is there a cost match? No. And then just a quick cost match note. This is what's available in the announcement, just saying that there's not a cost match required. Same information here that we saw in the other 2 foundation opportunities. Who's the entity? What's the location? Focus? What's the category? So this is for housing. And then it gives a little bit more information about what this opportunity will fund, what it won't fund, if that information is available. So that way you can kind of decide if this is something that you want to pursue. What I'll say also about the federal opportunities that's super important to note is that, when you're doing a federal grant search in grants.gov, typically you have to go to the resources tab or the package tab and then download the notice of funding opportunity, the NOFO, in order to read more information. What we do at the TFR is we make the NOFO available just by clicking the link. So you click on the announcement link and it'll automatically bring up the NOFO for you. So you don't have to download anything to your computer. We make it accessible just by clicking on that link. Okay, so that takes us through running a keyword search, how to use your filters, how to navigate different funding opportunities, using the bookmark function. Yeah. So, as I had mentioned, there are these other 2 trackers that we have available. New opportunities added in the last 30 days, closing opportunities that are closing within the next 30 days. So those can help along your search as well. You'll find that those opportunities are also in the All Opportunities tracker. They're just organized based off of when the deadline is so that you know that they're new or you know that they're going to be closing soon. So whatever you find in those trackers can also be found in the All Opportunities tracker as well. So on our roadmap, we are planning to build this portion out of the TFR a bit more, especially because we know that we need to support our communities through how to navigate philanthropy and corporate giving, because there's been obviously like a huge shift from federal funding to now we're looking at philanthropy. And for context, in 2024, private philanthropy gave nearly $600 billion in funding. And our communities receive less than 0.5% year over year of private philanthropic dollars. And so through the TFR, we're trying to address that by making sure that we make it easier for folks to access the information through the TFR. You're able to look at the foundation of corporate opportunities. But we also want to introduce folks to how to navigate information that's available on foundation and corporate giving. So as I mentioned before, we tapped into Candid's API. Remember that API is just that system kind of liaison that helps information sharing and data sharing between 2 different systems. So we've got the TFR here, and the API helps us to communicate with Candid's database to gather all of this information. So when you're here in the funders tab or tracker, you're going to see a whole bunch of different funders. These are all of the funders, thousands and thousands of funders. We've got almost 3,600 funders, funder profiles in the TFR. And so, say you're out at a conference and you meet somebody from the Akron Community Foundation. You can go into the TFR, and our vision is that when you go in here, you're going to have a complete profile. You're going to be able to see, all right, the Akron Community Foundation, first and foremost, they've got a linked grant opportunity. Not going to click there because it's a forecasted opportunity and that's not going to be much help right now, but will at least let me know there's a funding opportunity that they have, at least on an annual basis. But what we want to provide for folks, and it is on our roadmap, is to provide more information about this foundation. What are the types of organizations that they've funded in the past? What are those average awards that they're giving out? If I'm going to submit a grant application to them, how much should I ask for? So we are able to do that through something called a 990 information. And if you're not familiar with a 990, you can go to guidestar.org, sign up for a free account, and again, our goal is to make this all available in the TFR in the future, and it's on our roadmap. But for now, you can go to GuideStar, sign up for a free account, and you can search any organization that you come across. For instance, the Templeton Foundation. And what it will do is populate, a number of the different organizations or foundations that go by that name. So you'd want to refine this even further. But what's important is that when you go into an opportunity or go into a funder, click on their profile, it'll show if they have a 990. So this will be populated to say, it'll link to whatever 990s they have available. The 990 is basically the tax return for a foundation or a nonprofit entity. So when you're in the 990, let me show you what it looks like. This is for the John Templeton Foundation. So at the very top here, you'll see just a profile, their contact information. Sometimes you might be able to see what their fiscal year by going through the 990, but I couldn't tell you just off the top of my head where that's located. So that's a good question that I'll make sure to address. But when you're in the 990, you can scroll down and find all of the grant opportunities or all of the grants that this particular organization gave out, who they gave it to, what the purpose was, and the amount. And as a grant writer, I use this information to help me determine, all right, these are the different types of organizations they give to, these are the types of causes that they care about, and these are the sizes of grants that they give out. So you can tell that this donor gives out pretty sizable grants to a lot of different types of organizations and a lot of different purposes. So this would be someone that I would really be interested in talking to. They do have an open grant process. Unfortunately, it did just close. We made sure in our newsletter to do a funder profile. We made sure to do a grant spotlight on each of the grants that the John Templeton Foundation did have open for an LOI. So if you missed that, make sure to please sign up for the newsletter, because we do make sure to try to get that information out to folks so you don't miss valuable opportunities like this. All right, so back to the TFR. Again, we want to make that information available in one click. That's our vision for how we're going to build out these funder trackers. So stay tuned for when that's going to launch. We're really excited for that. We already have access to Candid's API, so it's just some work that we need to do on the back end, and I don't want to oversimplify it. Just to not overcommit our tech team, but it is on the roadmap. The next thing I want to call your attention to is our resources tab. Now, this is again, we're continuing to build this out as well. But what I'll point you to are two lists that we keep updated every single week: the EPA Alternative Funding Opportunities List and the Alternative Funding List. These are simple Google spreadsheets because we realized we launched in March of 2025 at RES. That was shortly after the changes in federal funding, the pauses, cancellations, and folks were starting to lose funding and didn't even have a place to start to look for grant opportunities where grants were canceled, their federal grants were canceled. So our commitment was every single week, we're just going to pull everything that we have in the TFR into these two spreadsheets so that you don't have time to run a search, you need to pivot quickly, you can go into the alternative funding list. It's organized by tab. You can access the spreadsheet here. Down on the bottom, it's organized by topic area. So I need to find education grants. I can go in there, and the most up-to-date grants are there because we update it weekly on Mondays, where you'll just have access to grant alternatives at your fingertips. And we want to make sure that we're just providing information to folks as quickly as possible because we want to help everyone navigate the challenges that we're encountering right now. In the resources tab, you'll also find any webinars that we see out there. We want to make those available to our users also. So we'll try to post those here, recordings here, so that you can watch them even after the event happens. So we've got a great one from NAFOA about contingency planning. We've got one from the Native Learning Center about virtual grant writing, or the virtual grant writing training. We've got a nonprofit checklist, what to do when your federal grant or contract is terminated. I've got an introduction to grant writing webinar that I hosted, just kind of walking you through the basics, the 101s of grant writing. We also provide this is a Google Drive. It's the Grant Research Writing and Reporting Toolkit. In there, you're going to find templates for different types of grants. You're going to find templates for different types of budgets. You're going to find templates for one-pagers. You'll find just helpful information in there, and we'll continue to add to this. It's nothing fancy. It's not anything that's branded. It's stuff that we really just created to help folks, and we've put it in this Google Drive. And say you're approaching a grant and you don't even know where to start, we've got some templates to help you out and get you started. And then you also can request just a one-to-one session. Say office hours aren't going to be a good fit for you. You can click Ask a Grant Expert, and that's going to take you to just our quick, I think it's an 8 or 9 question form where you can request to meet with one of our culturally competent grant writers for support. And that is it for the Tribal Funding Registry. Again, just want to encourage you to join us at our open office hours 5 times a week. Email us with anything that you need. Please sign up for our weekly updates in our newsletter. You can also follow us on our social media. We're on all platforms. You can find us by searching Tribal Funding Registry or at Tribal Funding. Please share this far and wide with folks. Again, we are a free resource. We want this to be in the hands of all of our community members who could use it. I know that things are very challenging right now as we pivot and we are trying to navigate a different landscape right now. We are truly here to help, and we will do that in any way possible. So tribalfunding.org. I will go actually back to the slideshow, which I didn't do. And now, yeah, we'll do an open space for Q&A.
Getting lots of love in the chat, but not a specific question just yet.
No worries. And if something pops up, always know that, again, you can send us an email, you can come to office hours, request a one-to-one, because I know when I attend a webinar, I'm like, oh, it would have been really great to hear this. You can access us and ask any questions, or if you have a specific grant you're working on, or really need a thought partner in running through the research, we're here for that. Thank you all so much. We're really grateful we get to do this work, and thank you all for the important work that you do.
Okay. Doesn't look like anybody's typing currently, but feel free to keep sending in those questions, folks.
Oh yes, and please feel free to follow us on social media because we do often have kind of random giveaways. We're getting ready to host a celebration giveaway because we are over 1,000 users now. So we're going to be giving away some really cool gift cards to some Native businesses.
So I know you can't click on her social media links on the screen, folks, but if you have downloaded the slides and the link for that, I'll put it in the chat once again. It was in there in the beginning, but know that you can click on those links when you open up the PDF. So you'll be able to grab those through the slides. All right, don't see anybody type in. I'll go ahead and do the outro. Thank you so much for such an incredible presentation, Anawa. This is such a helpful resource. I know like literally everybody we work with is really excited about it. I joined like the first time I saw the email blast, I was so excited. But we hope you guys can take a moment to complete today's webinar feedback survey. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes. It is anonymous, so you don't have to worry about your name or your email or anything being connected to it. It just helps us at the Native Learning Center know what is working and what can be improved upon. And we also share the feedback with our instructors. So it does help everybody all around. We hope you can join us for our next webinar. That is going to be on Thursday. That is the 21st of this week. That'll be Grant Writing 103, How to Establish and Maintain Excellent Grant Funder Relationships. If you didn't tune in for Grant Writing 101 or 102, both of those can be found in the courses section. So you can access the slides there. You can access the webinar recordings. You can access any of our recorded webinars on our YouTube channel. There is a webinar archive on there, and I'll put the link for you in the chat right now. Our webinars on there go back about 2 years, so feel free to check out any of those that you see. Great resource. There we go. And feel free to check out our other upcoming training events. We post about them on our various social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and we have an in-house produced podcast, the Hope a Thing, a Native American podcast. You can listen to that wherever you listen to your podcasts, or if you like to watch the interviews with our guests, we have those posted to our YouTube channel as well. Otherwise, that's all we have for you today, folks. We are still sitting here, so if you have any quick questions you wanted to ask, feel free. I see y'all showing Ottawa a lot of love in the chat. Amazing. I am going to go ahead and turn the recording off, but I'm going to leave the webinar room open so that y'all can still use the chat if you want to ask any questions and so you can access those links.